Hey everyone, welcome back to Evony with Genghis on server 68. So today we're going to talk about source of life. What are they? Where do you get them? How do you get your best bang for the buck with them? So basically, let's take a look in the inventory here, and these are sources of life. As you can see, it says they are used to revive dead troops. So they only are used in SVS. So SVS just finished. It's Wednesday. You get 3 days after SVS, which is today, Wednesday. That's the final day where you can revive your troops. If you don't revive them, they die. And the way you revive them, you just go into the hospital and it says revive. Now, I remember my first time doing SVS, going for wings. I didn't really know what I was doing. Going for wings, just kind of lucked myself into some points at the start. I saw a guy who was attacking our unbubbled keeps in our hive, and I just shot in some reinforcements and ended up with like 70 million points. And I was like, whoa, I'm kind of high up there right now for wings. Let's go for it. And I didn't know anything else. And then SVS ends, and I luckily I had some sources of life, but then it cost me like 4,000 or 5,000 to heal everything that I went through over the server war, and then I looked and I was down to like 300, and I was like, whoa, if I don't have any, I can't play SVS, or I lose my troops permanently, and I've seen that happen to many people. So anyways, let's go into the academy, because this is where you can get more bang for your buck with sources of life. So academy is up here, and if you go to the medical area, there is a couple areas right here, light of server. So it increases single time revived troops power during server war. And you can go all the way up to 25, obviously, and get that up to 70%, I believe the max is. And then here at the bottom, this one goes all the way up to, I believe, 100%. So you get 170%. And basically, these are the only two things you can do to make your sources of life extend further. So when you revive, if you go into the Holy Palace, this is a good example of it. So here you can see 467 horns will recall power up to 2.3 million. So in the hospital after SVS, in the revival section, it will also be power based. So if you're going to use sources of life, it will say one will get you a certain amount of power. But if you do all this science, one will get you triple or double the amount of power. And that's what you want, because you want to use these. And now another way that just came into the game that will help with this also is right here, troop revival, but you got to be Monarch 40. And so you got to switch over after SVS when you want to revive your troops, and you'll get an extra 10%. So that's how source of life works. If you don't have any, don't do SVS. I got a couple friends in one of my old alliance, Boom and Wes, they played, and I think one of them lost about 400 or 500 million permanent power, and the other, not too bad, only about 50 or 60, but he only had about 120 at the time. So it was a lot. So those are just some examples. I've also heard of other examples where people lost billions, because Evony changed a couple months ago, and all of a sudden 6 billion can get zeroed in a rally, and that is a lot of sources of life you need. So let's look at the ways that you can get sources of life. So first thing here is in the purchase packs. So in the daily packs here, there's none in that pack right there. Let's try and look in if I was to buy something in the other ones. This pack doesn't have them either, but the daily packs during the events, unfortunately it's not an event for another 2 days, but those packs do have sources of life, and they have a good amount of them. That's where most people will get all of theirs. But there are a lot of free ways in the game to get them also. So one of them is just to use your gems And if you click here at the top and you go to the item shop, so you're going to click on those gems there, and then items and war, and you can see them here. Source of Life, 1,000 gems. And I'm just going to pretend to buy a lot just to make sure that the price stays consistent at 1,000 the whole way, and it does, unlike stamina, which will go up after a certain amount. It'll start to get way more expensive. So Source of Life, 1,000 gems. So that's what you should base every decision you make on buying Source of Life on, that they are valued at 1,000 gems. So other ways that you can get them, if you go into Civilization Treasures and the Faberge eggs, if you go to level 2, these eggs, they drop pansy eggs. At the next level, at level 2, they will drop, I think it's called Taberge eggs, and they will drop 15 Source of Lives when you open them. Now, it's random. There's lots of other prizes, but if you do get them, you will get 15 Sources of Life. Other strategies to get them, if you're low on gems, is to go in the Battlefield shop and use your badges or your dragon crystals and buy gems. So right there, I could get 1 Source of Life. And that's a strategy that you can use, especially if you're at a more advanced stage in the game and you don't really need badges or dragon crystals because they're mostly used to refine your dragons, or they're used to unlock wonders, that sort of stuff. And then after a while, you could just use them in the Battlefield shop. I buy Epic General Packs, and I hang on to them just in case in the future there's going to be another need for them. I don't use them all, but once in a while, that's what I will try and get in the Battlefield shop. Now, another excellent way to get them is if you go into the Viking Challenge, these chests at the bottom, these will give you Sources of Life. So if we look at them here, if we go into the Viking Rescue chest right here, at the top, there is Source of Life. So when you when you kill Vikings, you get Sources of Life. And it's very valuable. Now, there's other events that take place in the game as well. Things like Hun's Invasion, or sometimes these games, Precious Vegetation. This week it doesn't have any Source of Life, but sometimes they do, and you'll see them in here. And you should buy them up. All sorts of other games like the Tactic Refining event, Super Refining and Tactic Scrolls. If we go over to Redeem here, you can see Source of Life. So you should be considering buying them because it's a rare item that you do need, and unfortunately, for the most part, you do have to spend money to get them, or you can be, selective and play SVS once in a while and use them in here. Another way is statues. So in SVS, you can see those statues, and you find them, you get 100,000 points and a Source of Life. It used to be back in the day where you post a statue and it's a race to get them. Everybody wanted them, but then Evony changed the minimum scores, and now people don't send their alts to them because it used to be hit 1 statue and your alts would get 2,000 gems. Hit 7 statues for 640,000 points and your alts would get 4,000 gems. Then the next level was 2.25 million. Evony changed that whole thing, and now the first level is 2.25 million, and it's just too many points for alts to get, so people don't really send them anymore. So that's pretty much the only way to get souls, other than every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's a shopping spree, and you'll see it. It'll come in this corner right here, and you could also get to it by clicking on limited time promotion, and then up here at the top, it'll have shopping spree, and those Sources of Life will be on sale. I believe they go for 700 gems instead of the regular 1,000. So that's a deal. It's on sale for sure. And then I also saw them in the auction house, and they were for 500 gems each. Now you had to buy a lot. I think it was 10 of them started at 5,000, the bidding, or maybe it was 100 started at 50,000. Now, that's a strategy, right? You don't want to bid higher than 1,000 per gem, but if you could get it at the minimum level and buy them for 500 gems or 5,500 gems, 550 gems each, that would be a hell of a deal. So one strategy people do before SVS, they fill their hospital with T1s. So they might ask a friend to hit their camp spot, or they will attack monsters and fill their hospital. And then you don't have to pay resources to revive troops with souls, but you do have to pay regular hospital bills for your first, my hospital's approaching 2 million or so. So my first 2 million injured troops would cost me actual resources to heal. Unfortunately for me, I don't play SVS that often, except when we have a big rally or there's something obvious for me to hit. So I don't really plan every SVS to go fill my hospital. So I end up paying the hospital bill before I get to revive some troops. But that is Evony life, right? Sometimes you just do things impulsively, and sometimes you don't get to plan it out. And that's pretty much how you get souls. Anyone knows anything else, leave it in the comments. Help each other out. And this is Genghis, Server 68. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.